You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedoghouseokc.com and follow them on Instagram at thedoghouseokc, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. If you're looking for a way to make a real difference, check out Bethany Children's Health Center. They're helping children reach their full potential as a leader in pediatric rehabilitation. They're also building a new outpatient center of excellence, and it's going to be a landmark right on Route 66. Want to learn more or even schedule a tour? Just head to bethanychildrens.org and click on the Ways to Give tab. That's bethanychildrens.org. What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are up in Kingfisher today. Gives me great pleasure to introduce to the podcast from Swisher Beef Co, Mr. Chuck Swisher. Dude, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
I know. I was thinking of like how we got connected, and it was because of Amanda from Kingfisher, the men's
Kingfisher Grooming.
Kingfisher Grooming is how we got connected. Amanda reached out and was like, "Do you want to borrow soap?" I'm like, "Yeah, sounds awesome." And then she sent me the body wash stuff. And she did say to me, she's like, "Now be careful." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "This scent is really good."
Yeah.
And literally like a month later, I met my girlfriend and she was like, "You smell
You
good."
smell good.
Yeah. So I think I told Amanda, I was like, "You're right."
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's shout out to them, because that's great.
Yeah, it's good.
But no, we kind of got to know each other over the last, like 5 to 6 months. Appreciate your time coming to speak for us at my men's breakfast group, and kind of telling your story and the kind of bullfighting route that you have and the thing that you do, and then obviously having Swisher Beef on the, which is eventually going to take over, because unfortunately you can't bullfight for your entire life.
Yeah.
Neither do you want to. But yeah, man, excited to dive into your story. As we do with the podcast, let's go all the way back. Where were you born and raised?
I was actually born and raised in Dover, Oklahoma. It's pretty cool because my childhood house is actually 8 miles straight north of here. So it's actually the same roads and everything. And born and raised, super small town, Dover, Oklahoma. I grew up riding a skateboard around town. Yeah. Wanted to be Tony Hawk, rode my bicycle everywhere. I wasn't a cowboy at all, but my dad, he was kind of a cowboy ex-rodeo guy. And I was about 15 years old, I think. And I stumbled across a picture of my dad riding bulls way back in the day. And I was like, dang, I want to be a cowboy now. And so literally I traded in my big-tongued van shoes for some cowboy boots and my flat bill cap for a cowboy hat. And I never looked back.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 15.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of a pivotal age.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was very influential.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess you could say. And I like I said, I seen that picture and I was like, that's way better than Tony Hawk, and
pro skater though.
Yeah. And it's funny because I wanted to be Tony Hawk, but I could barely ride a skateboard to save my life. So it's kind of a catch-20 funny.
We share that, because I was a terrible skateboarder as well, but I felt cool.
Yeah.
And the Vans or DC shoes or whatever it was, or the big tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those shoes are so comfortable.
Oh, it's crazy how comfortable.
Right?
They didn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
They look massive. They look like kind of clown shoes. When I look at them now, I think, what was I thinking?
Oh,
This
yeah.
nice giant pair of white DC shoes with a big
Mhm.
tongue. That's just like, yeah, they're like slippers. They're
Yeah.
great, but they look massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that moment, then seeing the photo of Dad, did you go to him and say, "What is this all about"? Had you known that he was into that stuff before seeing that photo?
Yeah, so I kind of knew that he rode bulls. He actually retired before I was born, and
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what my thinking was. Is I knew I wanted to ride bulls like my dad. So I don't know if I went to him and my mom and said, "Hey, this is the new chapter for me. I'm going to be a cowboy. I'm going to rodeo." And so my parents bought me all the bull riding equipment I needed, and whenever it came down to it, I was too scared to actually ever go get on one. So I feel like I kind of let my dad down in a way, but however, I was a freshman in school in Dover. Like I graduated with 20 kids, so super small school. There was a senior he was a cowboy, but he was a bullfighter. And I was like, I could probably do that, I think. And so instead of riding bulls, I got rid of all the bull riding equipment, and my parents took me to a bullfighting school when I was 15, and they taught us all the basics. And literally that's 20 years ago. So
What? We're the same age. Where's the bullfighting school in Oklahoma? Is it still there? The kids still go to it?
so this one was actually in, I think it was Rose Hill, Kansas.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if there's still a school there or not. They kind of, at the time, this rodeo company had many schools scattered across the states.
Yeah.
It was, to me, it was a really awesome deal, because I got to kind of scratch the itch and see what it was all about, and learned all the basics, and uh, it was really cool, because like the first couple days you just literally you fight a wheelbarrow just to kind of figure it out, and then they throw you into the deep end, and then it's the big bulls, and uh, as time progressed, being a freshman in high school, I got to work some junior rodeos and stuff. And then I slowly went up to high school rodeos, college rodeos, open rodeos, and got my pro card. I think I got my PRCA card when I was 21, 22.
Yeah. So you at 15, this happens. You go to school, and you're thinking, "This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life."
Yeah.
What are is there any kind of figures that are from your area growing up that are Oklahomans that you're like, "Oh, I see these people," like, not, I wouldn't say idols, but just people that you could look towards as maybe mentors? What's the scene like?
Yeah. So the guy that was a senior in high school, he was the only other cowboy of the school. So he was obviously the one that I wanted to look up to, because he was doing what I wanted. And his name was Tyler Mead. He actually, I think he lives in maybe Cherokee, Oklahoma still. It's been 5 or 10 years since I've talked to him or whatever. But yeah, I looked up to him, and it was so funny because I'd see him walk through school, and he'd tuck his shirt in a way, or have his pants tucked in his boots, or whatever it might be. And I was like, I'd run to the bathroom and change how I look just to look just like him, and wanted to do anything and everything he did. And but yeah, then you kind of meet more of the rodeo people around Oklahoma, and you slowly kind of get in with everybody and just continue to keep going. And it's
awesome. Nathan Harp has been on the podcast before, so I know a little bit about the bullfighter world, but not a lot. And so you mentioned getting your pro card at kind of 21. Fill in that gap. What happens for you to get your pro card? What does mom and dad think when you're like, "Hey, I'm going to do this. I don't need an education in college," or like what happens during that early adulthood time of like, "I think I'm indestructible"?
Yeah. So when I was 15, it's funny. This was back in the day when cell phones weren't near as popular. I was the youngest of 6 kids. We kind of grew up not having much. I remember maybe on my 16th or 17th birthday, my parents got me a cell phone. That was 2 years earlier than any of my siblings. But my mom was like, "If you're going to be traveling, you need a way to call home." And so I got a phone. And I'm working these little AMI rodeos and stuff around Oklahoma. I remember working one in Enid, Oklahoma, and I'll never forget it. Is the craziest thing. Both my parents were standing by the fence, and this bull hooks me under the fence right next to him. And I look up and I see my dad. He's got the biggest grin on his face, and he's smiling and laughing. And I look over and see my mom, and she's scared to death. She's crying her eyes out. And it's so funny to see, even think back on how they acted during that time, and then obviously I just continue to work rodeos, and like you said, I was 15 to 20 years old. I was like, I'm going to fight bulls my entire life. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm going to do. This is all I want to do. I don't need a plan B.
Yeah.
17 years old, I actually had a bull hit me and broke some bones in my neck, paralyzed me for like 10 minutes. And it was, I'll never forget this either. I go back to thinking, it was on a Sunday when it happened. So I called my mom and I was like 3 or 4 hours from the house. I called my mom and I told her, I said, Mom, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it home today because like I'm pretty hurt, you know.
Yeah.
I got over being paralyzed, whatever, you know, and I was dang sure sore. I didn't know anything was broke in my neck or whatever. And she's like, you better get your butt home. I know you're not wanting to go to school tomorrow. And I was like, Mom, I'm pretty sore. Get your butt home. So I drive 3 hours home. No issue. I remember getting out of the car, walking to the trunk, get my bag out of the trunk and fall into the ground because I couldn't lift my bag up.
Yeah.
So literally I crawled into the house and my mom's like, where you been? I was like, Mom, I'm hurt. like look out in the yard. My gear bag is literally in the yard. And she's like, oh, maybe we should go to the doctor. Sure enough, I broke, I think they call them spinous process, little bones that kind of come off of your neck. I broke a couple of those in my neck and, they gave me, it was funny because I was still going to school or still in high school. So they gave me a sling and I was like, what's a sling for?
Yeah.
They're like, well, it's just to show your friends that you're hurt so they don't run up and jump on you, you know, because, you know, back in the day, like we were all about running around slapping each other on the back. And I got a feeling if somebody would have slapped me on the back, you'd have been done. Yeah, really done.
Wow.
But yeah, you know, just continued those AMI rodeos. And then I think it was 2021, 2022, I applied for my PRCA card, which is you got to get signatures from past NFR bullfighters, barrel men. Then they evaluate you. You send in 5 rodeos. They evaluate you at those rodeos. If you're good enough to get your card, they sign off on your card. And then that was in 22 when I got my card. So the goal was to get to work the National Finals Rodeo, which is the Super Bowl of rodeo in Vegas. And in 24, I got selected by the top 20 bull riders to work the NFR.
Yeah.
Dream come true. It was really awesome, you know, because starting super small town, I was honestly the most famous person in Dover at the time, which is pretty cool. Which also doesn't take much. But yeah, you know, it was a dream come true. And ever since then, you know, we've just been still going to all of our rodeos and having the time of our life. And here we are now.
What is it? I mean, when you're in the, you know, in the arena, whether it's small town rodeo, you know, like metal fencing, whatever, like, you know, the typical kind of 1 or 2 stands, or you're in the Vegas arena, like you still have obviously the same job to do, but what is that? I mean, how do you feel when you're in there? Do you get the nerves? Like, you know, you have this 1,000+ pound animal that's pissed off that you have to, but you're not there. You're there to protect.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, and I know there are competitions where you can go and there's no riders and they just turn out. But yeah, I mean, like, how do you describe that to somebody who's never seen it?
I remember my first few rodeos, I could go back and watch film and like, I would literally just black out because the adrenaline was going so much. I'd black out and then I'd come walking out of the arena and be like, what just happened, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's just another day in the office, you know? It's like you wheeling your chair up to the office desk and just going to work. It's nothing new. Everything's slow motion now because I've done it so much. And obviously nothing is ever the same, which I think is like a big draw to me for it because I would get bored doing the same thing over and over. And obviously the adrenaline's still going. It's just kind of in reserve in a way, you know, you can kind of control it a lot more than what I could back in the day. And but yeah, and I just tell everybody now, it's just literally wheeling my chair up to my office desk and just going to work. which is pretty crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, my work's a little bit different, I guess, than most office people. So
well, me and your wife share a profession. We're both real estate agents, and it's a lot different from selling houses. I'm sure this day she comes home from work as I have and just like, you know, you got to deal with clients or showing houses or an alarm went off or, you know, drop keys or whatever it is. And you're like, yeah, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I would rather get run over by 15 bulls in one day than have to deal with what you guys have to deal with.
Yeah. What's it like being a little older then, and kids coming up now to you and saying how, like, you know, people in your shoes maybe that you were when you were 15 to 20, like, coming up? I mean, is there a school? How has the industry evolved in those 20 years you've been in it? And then are you now like a mentor to people?
Yeah. So whenever I first started, social media really wasn't a thing at all, So now, everything you do is pretty much online, whether it's the Cowboy Channel, which advertises all the rodeos and stuff on TV or social media. So everybody sees what you do. And now for the younger generation, it's funny because when I was 17, 18 years old, someone told me to like start investing or look for a plan B. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen. Like I'm going to fight bulls till I'm 90, then I'm going to die. And that's going to be it. Now it's like, I'm going to those 18-year-old kids like, hey, start thinking about what you're going to do after, get it done now. So whenever in 20, 30 years, when you retire, you're already set up and good to go. And it's funny kind of how your mind shifts and everything. And after doing it for 20 years, obviously the game has changed so much, And the cool thing too, or I guess the crazy, scary thing is the bulls aren't getting any weaker. They're getting bigger, faster, meaner. They buck way harder. Obviously we're trying to keep up with the buck and bull industry, and some days it's pretty rough and pretty hard, but at the end of the day, it's still just part of the job and it's what we got to do. And
I was bumped into Nathan when he was the PBR, not that year, but last year at Paycom, and he got hurt. I mean, he got flung up in the air. Maybe it was in Vegas, I think, where he got flung up in the air, but you're going to take some hits, right? And there's that side of it, but there's also the entertainment side of it, right? I think there's a great photo on your Instagram, like you're in the barrel, like looking up at a bull, right?
So that's actually, I wasn't in the barrel. I was
the other side.
Yeah.
Of it,
so
right?
There's a rodeo clown that's in the barrel and I was just right on the back side of it. And so we can kind of, in that sense, like we're kind of entertaining and playing a little bit, and having fun. And obviously it's cool because the guy that's in the barrel is protected by a metal barrel. Yeah. So there's two ends on it. One or both of them are open, so we can kind of wheel the barrel around, so the guy can see and stuff and really play and kind of put on a show that way. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And you talk about Nathan. Nathan's I would say Nathan is probably my best rodeo friend. Okay. It's so funny because I'm terrible about calling people and checking in, like I'll call you if I need something type of thing, but Nathan's the guy that's like once or twice a week. He's like, hey, I'm just seeing how you're doing. What's going on? Yada, yada. Nathan started a beef business here in the past year or so, and they've been kicking butt with it and produced really, really great beef. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just cool to kind of see how our mind shifts have changed from when we're 18, 19 years old rodeoing together to now we're 34, 35 years old and we're going away from rodeo into businessmen and stuff, and
you're coming home building fence for your cabin. Doing other things.
It's so funny because it's nonstop, here at the ranch, it's literally every day. There's always something different, something new. And I think that's what I love about being the rancher side of it is I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I know I need to feed, but after that, it's literally, I'm going to see what kind of fires start up and I'm going to have to go put different fires out throughout the day.
You mentioned earlier, like the social media side of things, and it's a lot different now. You do have a great social media following, and also kind of growing the beef business, which we'll get into. But, with the amount of content that comes out, with the amount of photographers that are at your shows, that's really an asset to you going forward of like, whether it's video or capturing content, or just showing the world what it is that you do. And I think the industry has gone through the roof that way too, right? Because a lot more people are like, oh my gosh, it's like, not only is bull riding, or just an insane gladiator sport, like, well, your guys are a part of that as well. And I think people, it's one of the fastest growing sports, right? It's been around for forever, but recently it's one of those fastest, which is fun for you to be on that side of it. Use the social media side to grow your business and parlay it into other things. And, when you're growing up, the last thing we thought about was like, oh, I got to take a picture of this. I set up a camera and video.
I got to post this.
And sometimes if we did do that, we might get into a lot of more trouble than we did.
Oh,
we got away with a lot before social media. But how has that been? What's the social media side of things like for you now, and getting content and, as you're coming towards the end of your career and having this montage of great memories on your social media?
Yeah. So I remember when we first started, we would have to buy the 8x10, like actual copies of photos. I've got a whole picture book of like hard photos. Now there's so many photographers at these rodeos and videographers that we can get clips and photos and we don't have to actually have hard copies of them. With social media, you put it on there and it's on there forever, which in return can be a bad thing, you know, like looking back 15, 20 years ago at some of the dumb stuff I posted or whatever, you know, I'm like, I kind of wish I would have thought about that a little bit more, but I guess it's all part of the learning deal. And but no, you know, it's cool seeing, being able to go back, and especially with like Facebook, like the memories pop up, you know, like 10 years ago, a memory will show up and you're like, dang, that, like, what an amazing memory. What an awesome time that was, you know, and how much fun we had during that season or wherever we were at. But yeah, it's so cool to see all that. And honestly, rodeo and social media, I feel like they've obviously given me everything that I've got. You know, I met my wife, who's Canadian, through social media from some actual rodeo buddies. You know, they kind of got us hooked up, and so we Facebook messaged back and forth, and actually met up at a rodeo. Started our businesses through social media. Swisher Beef started from a Facebook post. So yeah, it's cool how much social media can actually help your entire life grow and your business grow and your relationship too.
And you've had, you know, some viral posts too, right? Which is, you know, in the mad world of social media, the post that you think would go viral never does. You know, and the posts that you guys have had go viral and multiple posts, like they look simple, right? You know, you're just feeding.
Yeah, it's so funny because I could come up with this. I could take 4 days and create a 30-second reel, and it's going to get a couple thousand views or something. I go out and I feed cattle. I just put my phone out and film it, post it, to get 42 million views, which is it's mind boggling to me. I've got a really good friend in Texas who's a videographer, like one of the best rodeo. He actually kind of started videographer for rodeo. You know, everybody looks up to him, and I told him about it. He's like, that got that many views, like of all the things.
Makes no sense.
It's funny, like I can, even on the rodeo side, I could post a picture of me like doing the coolest thing in the arena, making the coolest save, getting thrown 30 feet in the air, whatever, and it's going to get a couple thousand views. But this weird, regular old video of me feeding out in the pasture just blew up, and it's ever since then. It's been like really and honestly a crazy ride, you know, and super cool. But that just shows you how weird social media can be in a way too.
Yeah. So when was the beef business an idea? When do you then post the Facebook post for it to launch? Like, where does this all kind of come from?
So let me think. 2017, 2018, we would feed a steer out every few years for us, you know, and butcher it just for the family, whatever. And I was at church one day, and I was opening doors, like we were the greeters at the church, me and a guy named Tim Darst. And Tim was talking about buying a calf, feeding it out, going through all the steps. And I was like, hey, why don't I buy a calf for you? I put him in my pen with my steer that I'm feeding out for us. And that way, like, they can have a buddy, and I'm already doing the work. I've already got the setup. So it's less hassle for you, and I'll do it all. Then you pay me at the end. And he's like, man, that would actually save us a bunch of time, probably a bunch of money. And so I got to talking to the kids pastor at the church, Jessica Conway now. She was like, well, that might be a cool little business. And so I kind of was looking into it a little bit, and I was like, I'm going to post on Facebook. And if I could sell 10 head this year, it'd be a pretty awesome little business, you know? And this was probably earlier in the year, maybe May or April. So I post on Facebook, and it blows up, you know, because I already had a name for Chuck Swisher bullfighting. So a lot of people kind of recognized me and knew who I was. I started this little Facebook deal about, hey, I'm going to feed some steers out. Does anybody want to buy some beef? And it blew up. Literally, I think in that one Facebook post, we sold 12 head for that first few months. And I was like, this might be a little bit better than what I think it is, you know? And slowly we just continued to grow and continued to grow. And then 2020 COVID hits, and all the rodeos get shut down, which on the Swisher Beef side was such a blessing, because Swisher Beef blew up in 2020. You know, it was the time of Walmart not having beef, but guess who had beef? Swisher Beef. And it worked so much in our favor. Now we gained all of those customers. And my goal has always been, I'm going to sell you beef, and I want you to love it so much that you buy beef from Swisher Beef the rest of your life, you know? And so all those customers from 2020, have told their friends, and they still buy, and then their friends buy, and then their friends tell their friends, and it slowly just continued to grow and grow and grow. And it's been a crazy ride, another crazy social media deal, and it's been amazing. So it's a huge blessing for sure. And obviously it's kept us plenty busy, and it was a blessing in disguise, like I said, because when the rodeos got shut down, Swisher Beef grew so fast and so crazy that if rodeos didn't get shut down, we would have had to turn one of them down, Swisher Beef or rodeo. But in the time, God had it lined up to where it was perfect, and we kind of got Swisher Beef to where it was an automatic deal for us in a way, to where we could kind of put it to the side a little bit, not work on it as much, and then still rodeo in the meantime and everything. But now it's funny because Swisher Beef has overtaken rodeo. We're slowing down rodeoing and pumping out the beef.
Yeah.
So,
naturally, as you get older,
Yeah.
that's great. Right.
yeah.
Dive into, I guess, this is a personal question for me because I don't know any idea how the business side of it works. And I hope people listening, maybe there's someone else like me too. Usually there is. When someone, when you sell 10, do you start that post and someone, so they just say, yeah, we'll buy one from you. So then you have to go buy the calf cattle, and then it's already sold.
Yeah. So what we would do at the time is we had a small set of mama cows.
Yeah.
And the cattle market is a very funny market. It's like the real estate market. You never know what's going to happen, how it is, whatever. So we'd have this small set of cows. We take the calves to the sale every year. And then it's like, all right, this is the gamble. We're selling our calves that we hope that the market's good this time.
Yeah.
And we hope we make money. So you go all year long to produce these few calves, take them to the sale, and then hope you make a living off of it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why don't we, instead of hauling them to the sale, why don't we keep them? We'll feed them out, and then we'll sell them.
Pre-sell,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
So that's what we did. We, whenever we made the Facebook post, people were like, hey, we want beef. So we'd literally go to the cow pasture, pull a couple calves off, start them on feed. They would put a deposit down, and we'd feed the steer up or the calf up for however long, take it to the butcher, get it processed. The people would come right to the butcher, pick it up, and go from there.
Yeah.
And then it slowly kind of evolved into now Swisher Beef has grown so much that we've got to outsource our calves. So we'll go to Jerry Sandifer up the road, or Jared Cole, or whoever that's local that has ranches around us.
Yeah.
We'll buy calves off of their cows, bring them in, because we know the quality of the calf we're getting and everything. We'll bring them in, feed them, do the same thing, and go from there. So
yeah. How long is the process as far as getting a cow, feeding it up, and then butchering it?
So we like to feed our calves for at least 120 days.
Okay.
So we'll start them on feed. We usually start them pretty slow, and then we turn them into full feed for 120 days. That way they finish good. Like the marbling in the steak is good. Obviously the taste is good.
I can confirm that.
Yeah,
They're great.
Yeah. And then we'll take it to the butcher. The beef usually hangs at the butcher for 12 to 14 days. And by hang, I mean when Rocky Balboa goes into the beef freezer and he's punching meat, that's the hang. And then the butcher goes in, chops it up, depending on how you want it cut, packages it, and puts it in their freezer, and then it's ready to be picked up. So,
yeah. What's the current price for a full cow?
So right now is probably the craziest time in the cattle industry, because the cattle market is insane. So we used to actually be able to buy an 800-pound steer for $900 to $1,100.
Okay.
Right now, that same steer is anywhere from $2,800 to probably $3,200 for that same steer.
Yeah.
Because there's a big cattle shortage. Obviously, all the tariffs and stuff. They've got the border shut down for different diseases and everything. It'll be cool in 20, 30 years coming back, watching this video and seeing where the cattle market is. But yeah, right now is every sale barn has set records for every size of animal they've sold. It's such a wild time in the cattle market, because if you have cattle, this is when you could sell all your calves and pay all your bills off and pretty much get out of debt, just with this one calf crop.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, we sell a whole beef for $6 a pound hanging weight. They roughly average 800 to 900 pounds per hanging weight. We pay the processing. So yeah, it's right in there.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's funny because we talked for the longest time. We were at, I think whenever we first started, we're maybe $4.25 a pound for a whole beef. And we slowly had to bump it up. And I tell Carolyn all the time, I feel bad charging people this much, but if we don't make a profit and we
Yeah.
don't charge what the current market is, we're not going to have a
You're not
business.
the ones indirectly putting the price up. It's, you're paying a more price.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's just how business unfortunately works for the end consumer. Your costs go up, their costs go up.
Exactly.
Everyone's got to make money.
Exactly. And you might actually be able to go to Walmart and buy cheaper beef. But the difference is I showed you our calf pen a while ago. Like you could literally go out and say, hey, I want number 10.
Yeah.
And I can send you a picture every week of number 10 as they continue to grow until our December butcher dates, and even show you pictures of the beef at the butcher, so you know exactly what you're going to get from us. Whenever you go to a grocery store, it's like
no idea.
Like, where did this come from? Is it beef? Is it how many different beefs is it in one? So like our deal is like, this is your beef through the entire process. We're not mixing it with anything. Like you get what you get type of thing. So
that's, the way that you can, family business, handshake business, the way that you were brought up, like the way that you want to do business, the way that you would love to be a customer is the way that, you are on the other end. Like it's, and like you said, you want people to be repeat customers and, be customers for life. And it starts with communication and treating them right from day one. And also then the product, like, I had steak yesterday. I got a sirloin in the fridge right now. Like it's I'm having steak tonight.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And it just takes, someone to have some, try it and compare it too, right? I think one of the things I saw, you posted maybe, just a comparison. You talk about, like the kind of big box store, meat, you put yours next to theirs and you can see the comparison, right? And just the color.
Yeah.
Like the brighter red, right, versus the darker red. Right? The brighter red is your one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right? The darker red is all like been processed or whatever.
Yeah. It was funny when we did that because I prepared them the exact same, cooked them the exact same way, and then I presented them to Carolyn. She had no idea which was which. I was like, hey, take a bite out of each one, and then let me know which one you like and which one you don't. And she took a bite, and she's like, you're not going to like this, Chuck. And I'm like, well, tell me which one, and she pointed to the one that she really liked, but she had no idea. And it turns out that was ours. And that wasn't like a spoof for a good social media post. Honestly, I wanted to see too, just because if we're not producing as good a quality or better than the supermarkets, then we need to change something. We need to do better, and it was a home run right off the bat. It worked out really, really good. And that's always been our, I guess our motto is quality. There's been times where, like, I always tell people, like, we can produce the best beef, raise the best steer, feed the best feed, but when we take it to the butcher, it's in the butcher's hands. We got to be able to trust the butcher to do their job and produce the best quality that they can as well. There's been plenty of times where we've used multiple different butchers around the state, and a butcher might mess something up, like a packaging or something. So if you got 400 or 500 pounds of beef in your freezer and the packaging isn't right, it's going to get freezer burnt pretty fast. And for the customer, that's a lot of money coming out of their pocket that's actually getting wasted. So there's been times where we've literally gone and told the customer, hey, donate all of that beef. We'll supply you with a brand new beef, just because that's not our quality. Like, we can do better than that. And then it's like, we've got to go on the backside, even though it's not our fault, we've got to go on the backside and say, hey, butcher, like, you got to get your crap together. You just cost us a couple $1,000s, because we don't want to tell the customer, hey, you're SOL, like, this is what you get. Because then it reflects on us rather than the butcher. So it's like, hey, we all kind of got to be on the same page here. We're going to produce the best. You guys, we're going to trust that you do as well. Yeah. And we're going to be able to have as many customers as we need together. So
talking about preparing a steak, and that first question is, what is your favorite cut?
Oh, this is a trick.
It is a trick, but I'm using that question to lead into what is your best way to prepare one? Because everyone does it differently. So you don't have to say your favorite, but we can pick one for the cooking.
My favorite steak cut is bone-in ribeye.
Okay.
I've always been like the big meatier looking chunk of beef is my favorite, and ribeye has always got good marbling. The actual top piece of the ribeye, the cap, is like one of the most tender, best tasting pieces for me anyway. But yeah, a bone-in ribeye is my favorite. And the bone-in, I don't know if the bone actually does much. People say it gives it a little bit more flavor, but to me, it's like manly, so you get like a piece of bone with your meat.
Right.
So
I share that. It's definitely, absolutely. Okay. How are you preparing your steak? Any tips and tricks? What have you tried over the years? Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, how does the man himself cook his own steak?
So I feel like I've literally tried everything. You know, I've marinated steaks to try to dry aged them. For me, what I do is I pull the ribeye out of the freezer. I'll put it in the fridge for a day or two so it slowly thaws out. And then I'll cut it out of the package. I'll usually set it on the counter for an hour or so before I cook it. Probably 10 minutes before I cook it, I salt and pepper it. That's usually about all the seasoning I use. I turn the pellet grill up to 500, depending on what I'm doing. And then we've got a griddle. I'll turn it full blast. I'll usually go out and sear both sides of the steak, throw it on the griddle or throw it on the pellet grill until it's around 125-ish degrees. And then I'll pull it off. And they say you're supposed to let it set. And for me, it's so hard, like
Looking at his
going like 2 days of working on making this one steak, cooking it, and then set it on the counter whenever you just cooked it to let it set. And so if I can muster up the courage to let it set, I'll let it set for 10 or 15 minutes. But usually I'm diving right into it, burning my mouth and going to town on it. So
Yeah, definitely the way to go. It is hard though. You're looking at this epic piece of meat that you want to devour, and you especially when you've cooked it, you don't want to worry about sides or anything
Yeah.
else. It's like I just want to eat my steak.
yeah. And that's funny. That's usually, I guess I've been the cook at the house here over the last month or so, maybe. And when Carolyn cooks, like she's like goes all out. She uses every dish in the cabinet and she's making all these sides and all the different flavors. Whenever I cook 2 big O steaks and that's it. And we stand at this little island in our kitchen and we just face each other and we just cut steak and we eat steak and that's all we eat.
Yeah.
And usually like our steaks are big enough and good enough that we don't really care for any other sides.
Yeah.
Don't need nothing else. So.
Yeah. It was funny. I took a picture of cooking steaks on the grill, and I think I maybe posted my story or something, and my mom texted me the next day and she was like, oh no, it was just one steak. I think it was just probably like a big piece of sirloin, I think, that I had. And I put it, took a picture of it, and my mom texted me the next day and was like, "Oh, I saw you guys had steak." I said, "Yeah, that was like just one." She's like, "Really?" I said,
Yeah.
And that's the whole difference from back home. Like, like it's really hard to get good steak back home, whereas out here, you fall out a tree, you can find a pretty decent steak, and the abundance of meat out here is super easy to get. But yeah, it was just funny. She's like, "That's one piece." I'm like, "Yeah, well, they're coming out for Thanksgiving, so they're gonna have some steak as well when they're here." And my dad loves ribs, and I still have the beef ribs that you gave me, so he doesn't know that they're in the fridge right now, but they're waiting. Let's talk a little bit about just kind of following you on social media and just the way you were raised. And you mentioned, not having, one of 6, right? Not having a lot, but being in Dover and just having a great community around you, being in a position of, I think we can give back in certain ways, right? And then you also mentioned, being the greeter at church. So faith is a huge part of your life as well. There's so many different ways that we can give back. And I think you're in a unique position as far as like producing beef, because I think giving food to somebody or giving food to an organization, I don't know, for me, it just kind of carries more weight than, not to say that people don't volunteer their time or give money, but providing food is just like sitting around a table. Like I vision, people donate food or give food away. You're increasing that family time around their table. You don't have to be there, but that family is going to sit around and like they have community. Brings people food always brings people together, right? So what is that like for you being on the other side, being able to provide now for some families or just, and also the education side as well, right? Kids growing up now learning, where they get their meat from. Not everybody grows up, in a small town in the country, right? So tell me a little bit about that. What are those initiatives like for you, and Swisher Beef?
Yeah, so it's actually super cool. Just a couple weeks ago, we were in Calgary, and I was talking to just this random guy. He seen my cowboy hat and he wanted to chat, and he was actually wanting to buy or like start a ranch and start the beef deal. And he mentioned that he's like, you are literally like bringing families to the table, And it like, to me at the time, I never really thought about it like that. But like when you sit back and actually think about it, it's actually super cool, because I remember some of the best times of my life were sitting around the table with my brothers and sisters and my parents, and like the laughs and like the family reunions, you know, like where the whole family gets together, and it's such a like a heartfelt time, like such a warming thing to sit back and think about. And I feel like that's kind of a thing that we as maybe Americans or anybody have kind of gotten away from a lot more, is like the family reunions don't really happen as much. You know, grandma and grandpa may have passed away and they were kind of the glue of the family. And to sit back and think that Swisher Beef can provide food for families to come and sit at the table, to me, it kind of like just gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling of like, man, like I wish I could go back being 7 years old, you know, sitting at the dinner table and just chatting with everybody and hanging out. And now obviously, all of our lives have gotten crazy. You know, it's not as easy to coordinate a time to where we can all sit down, especially family. You know, I've got 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and we're scattered all over Oklahoma. And then I've got 14 or 15 nieces and nephews, you know, so trying to get the family together is like trying to like bring the circus to town, you know? So, no, for Swisher Beef, it's, probably one of the coolest things to be able to just bring families to the table and give them a time to like not be on their phones and like actually communicate with each other and like show what the meaning family is all about.
Yeah. Does the state have any kind of programs or stuff you can participate in?
Yeah, so the state actually, the Department of Oklahoma Ag actually is rolled out with this grant deal. I think it might have been last year as the first year or the year before, where any public school can apply for a grant. The school can get up to $25,000 to buy local produce, local beef, local pork, chicken, whatever from producers in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so it's that to me is such an awesome deal because one, the school gets a grant, which is free money to the school. The kids get to eat locally grown food, which Swisher Beef, we've got 3 or 4 schools that we sell beef to. And it's not just like we're not going and getting a 3-legged calf from the pen. Like we're producing like top quality beef for these kids. And then the third part of it is the local rancher, the local producer can make a profit off of all of the stuff, you know? So we actually had one of our friends message us the other day, and she said her, I think they've got 2 daughters. One is 6 and one is 5 in kindergarten and first grade. And they usually prepare lunch for their kids every day for school. And their youngest daughter, Jacqueline, said, "Mom, don't prepare my lunch for tomorrow because tomorrow's nacho day, and it's from Funkel's Beef, which is our beef, you know, that we have sold to the Kingfisher School, and which is so awesome because she knows the quality, she knows the taste is different. Instead of having her mom make something from their house, she's wanting to eat our beef at school, which is so cool for all the other kids to be able to enjoy and do and see. And then it goes back to a 5-year-old knowing the difference in taste of good quality beef versus something you might buy from a big box store or whatever, you know. So it's cool to see that. And that grant deal it's amazing. You know, like I said, any public school can get it as long as there's money in the grant or in the fund. So I've been trying to call as many schools as I can. And for me, like, obviously it's a win if we can sell them beef, but if Nathan Harp down in Tuttle can sell the Tuttle school beef, it's still a win for me because it's the small mom and pop local rancher that's going to make the money. And then in return, it's going to create a lot more customers in the future, you know, because if we're feeding these kids now when they're in grade school or kindergarten or whatever, whenever they're 18 or 19, they're going to be like, dang, I wish we had some Swisher beef, or wish we had some Heart beef, or whatever it might be. So then we're going to continue to have customers for forever.
Yeah. Well, and just to know the difference between locally grown, right, versus your big box stores, and, you know, and that taste. And also, like I said, they're going to buy, you know, a quarter, whole, half, like all the things. Like that's, you know, and the education side of it. Right. Because they're going to ask questions. And, you know, then, you know, if it's a small town, they're going to know you or your family, or, you know, maybe whoever the local kind of rancher is. I'm sure some of their kids might even go to the school. And so there's all these like really cool moments that happen, this full circle moment. Right. It's because we, you know, not to get into politics, but we don't, you know, there's a lot of things about where our food comes from, and preservatives and all the things, right? And so, you know where it comes from. You can, like I said, you can come out here and pick whatever number one you want that's in the law, right?
Yeah, exactly.
no, it's really cool. And I think for you as well, transitioning out of, whenever the time is right to transition out of bullfighting into this will be your full-time
Yeah.
gig, which sounds like it slowly is
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
right? Do you have a timeline as far as that? You set yourself a timeline?
Yeah. So actually, I've told this past year, I've told all my rodeos that they're going to get me one more time. So
Okay.
next year is going to be
Big
my
deal.
last full year of rodeo. I don't get me wrong, I love rodeo to death. It's literally given me everything that we've got. But also it's not the easiest job. Being gone so much, traveling,
Right.
getting beat up by bulls, it's dang sure something you can't do forever.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to kind of get myself set up to where we're like Chuck and Carolyn are set, even though we don't need, even though we don't have rodeo to back us, and that's what Swisher Beef has done. It's literally and evolved into this full-time business.
Yeah.
That it's funny because it is a full-time job for me, and whenever I leave, it's now a full-time job for Carolyn on top of her full-time job, So,
Yeah.
that's like another thing is I feel bad leaving and having to ask Carolyn to do something or even call in a neighbor or a friend to come in and help, And however, that's, I guess the other cool part of it is a lot of us ranchers are really good friends. And so it's like, whenever you're gone, I'll come over, I'll feed your stuff for you, do whatever I need to do to help you guys out because sooner or later I'm going to be gone and I'm going to need the favor in return or whatever it might be. But, yeah, I know next year is going to be the last year of rodeo, and then we'll literally just not change anything besides being gone all the time.
Yeah. And the plan is to grow the company, have more cattle,
Yep.
more head, and then kind of just grow it that way, and
Yep.
then keep producing this. Is there any other plans for the future as far as in the feed business? Would you get into? And I'm asking this, no, I'm with my limited knowledge of how that works. Is it for you just kind of buying more land and having more cattle, or is there other arms of the business that you'd like to throw as well?
Yeah, so obviously that's one thing that we'd love to do is just continue to grow, continue to pick up more customers, and in return of that, the more customers you have means the more cattle you have, so
Yeah.
the more space you're going to need. So obviously we want to continue to grow and buy more land, and we also do like we run a bunch of calves on wheat pasture, like winter pastures through the winter, and then summer we run them on grass and stuff. So we'll run a couple hundred head through there, and then it'd be nice to be able to get around 1,000 head for that deal, just going on the side as well. And then my wife and I feel like we've always got a million irons in the fire. We've got some rental properties that are kind of on the back burner that have kind of just been like set it and forget it type of deals, and we want to continue to grow that as well. And yeah, just a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
So obviously, it's whenever we fully step away from rodeo, it'll give us more time to really push and grow and do everything else that we want to do. And I imagine there'll be more time, obviously, of me being home. So Carolyn's like, "Hey, we're gonna need you to all these honeydews, or they've been adding up for the last 5 years, So it'd be time to knock some stuff off the list. And but yeah, we'll continue to grow the real estate side of it as well, and just continue to grow everything. And for me, like I'll still want to travel. I still love to travel. It just won't be as frequent and everything. There'll be times where I'm sure Carolyn's like, "Hey, you need to go on a trip somewhere and might have to run up to the mountain."
Get out of my head.
Yeah, I might have to run up to the mountain to go hiking for a week or something, But yeah, it'll be. I'm actually really excited. It's so funny. Like whenever rodeo happens, I'll get super excited to go to the rodeo. But whenever I'm pulling down the driveway, I'm like my heart's at home.
Yeah.
Like I want to be home, And it'll be bittersweet for sure, but it's all kind of whenever I was 15 years old and I signed up to be a bullfighter, I knew this day would come sooner or later, even though I didn't want it to. It's just kind of part of it.
Yeah.
It's got to roll with the punches and
there's seasons in life, right? And it's a good time to, like I said, shut it down and roll into this. And this is, going really well. And the plan, like I said, you have other streams, rental houses, and more land, and there's definitely other options. And I mean, owning a ranch, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
Whether
Always.
it's Carolyn wanting you to do something inside, or there's things to be fixed outside. But finishing up, I want to talk about you're a triathlete. You got the gym out there. I saw the tri bike. Where did that happen in your in the journey? And obviously, you have to stay fit to be a bullfighter, but where does triathlons fit in, and why did you pivot to do a triathlon and kind of scratch that itch?
It's funny. I think I've been competitive my entire life, or I know I've been competitive my entire life. Uh, in high school, Dover, it's funny because Dover's such a small town that we had a track team, but we didn't actually have a track. So we would literally run up and down the dirt roads. And I hated running in high school. It's the dumbest thing ever. Fast forward a few years, we've gotten to CrossFit because like it was the new thing and throwing a lot of weight around, and it's pretty fun and it's a good workout. And then we were me and my best friend Casey Jackson and Shannon Lowry were all kind of talking, and Shannon he's from Fort Worth, and he's done some triathlons and stuff. And I was like, man, that must suck, all the running. And I never even thought about the biking or the swimming. But he's like, yeah, we got to chatting about it. And he's like, Chuck, you should try one. So I think I signed up for a race and trained a little bit. And I'll never forget on the swim, thank God it was close to the edge of the lake, because I literally had to swim to the shore and walk a little ways because I thought I was going to drown. And then it's like, dang, I wonder if I tried a little harder, if I like worked out a little bit more, what would happen at the next race. And then it's like, there's the competitive kick of it is like, now I'm loving running. I'm loving riding the bike. I still hate to swim, but my thought was if I could survive the swim, I'd kill myself on the bike and then just run.
Yeah.
And I did a few races, and that's how it was. And I signed up for a half Ironman in Waco, and I'm pretty sure I swam the whole mile or however long it was on my back because I was a terrible swimmer, crushed the bike. And then the run was just get through it, and then I was like, now I wonder if I should do it full. And I'm kind of the guy that if I think I should do something, I don't like sit around and think on it too much. I sign up, and like if you call me and ask me, like, hey, could you go build this fence? I don't sit around and think, dang, I need to go out there someday and build that fence. Like I'm like, I need to just do it now and get it over with, whatever. And so I signed up for a full Ironman, and I think after I signed up, I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Literally. And literally it's that Ironman deal, that's a full-time job in itself, So there was days where we're training for 6 hours a day and being away from the house even more, just working out and stuff. And I'd get home and I'd be worn out. And Carolyn's like, what about like your marriage and your stuff businesses, like all your other stuff? And so yeah, we trained for a full Ironman, and I wanted to do something semi close to home, which was Tulsa. It was the last year for the full Ironman, and it was the same thing. I just, like I said, signed up for it and never like looked at the course or anything like that. And my buddy Shannon, he's very like find a smooth course, no big hills. And he told me after I signed up, he's like, dude, Tulsa is like one of the harder races there is.
Elevation game.
I'm like, oh my gosh, And I was like, all right, if I can survive the swim, I'll kill myself on the bike, and then I'll just go for a run, And the only difference is this time the swim was 2.4 miles. The bike was 112 miles. And then the run was a full marathon, 26 miles. And so I get through the swim, everything's happy-go-lucky, get on the bike, and I'm cruising. And looking back now, there's one hill. It was a 2-loop course. There was one hill that I could have got off the bike, walked next to the bike faster than I was riding up the hill. And then coming down the backside, I think I maxed out going like 51 mile an hour on my bicycle, which is flying.
Yeah, flying.
And then we got through, I like achieved my goal on the bike, we crushed the bike, get to the run. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
You pull up on the bike and there's thousands of people hooping and hollering. You go to transition, you take your helmet off, you throw your running shoes on, you take off running. I'm like, oh, this is easy. First 2 miles, I'm running like a 7.5 minute mile, which is flying. And then something hit me, and it's like, Chuck, you only got 24 more miles to go. And I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. Like, this is going to be rough. And so I started slowing down, obviously, because I knew I couldn't hold that pace. And there's a couple of us that entered the race, and the other guys, they're way better athletes than me and obviously way better swimmers. So they were a few miles ahead of me. So my goal was to catch up to them on the run. And it was funny because I kept seeing one of my buddy's wife and kids And they're like, oh, he's just right up there. He's just right up there. So I'd continue to run, and finally caught him. And as we're running, I was probably mile 10 or 15. And I was like, I honestly could run over to that bridge and just jump off and be done.
I'm done.
Like, this is terrible, you know? And I think for probably the 10 or 12 miles of the run, I probably walked because like I went too hard on the bike, you know, and then obviously the first few miles of the run, I was trying to catch everybody and really hurt my strategy. But at the end of the day, you know, it was something cool because it was competitive. It took me 14 hours to do this race, which is insane. And, you know, they always say there's like only 1% of the people in the world that run a marathon. And not only did I run a marathon, but I swam 2 miles before and I biked 100 miles before that even. And so it was a lot. And now all my buddies we've met a lot of new friends from Oklahoma City that there's a Tri-OKC club and they're like, hey, let's sign up for a full next year. And I'm like, I'll come train a little bit with you guys, but I kind of don't have that itch right now. You know, it's tough for me to leave the house that much more, but then like commit to literally being on a bike for 6 hours a day some days or running 14 or 15 miles down the road. But then too, on the backside of it, it's obviously I know it's good for my health. Whenever I started it, I didn't want to hinder rodeo any because like at the time I was I'm still hot and heavy into rodeo. So I wanted to be in shape for it. And I was like, swimming, running and biking is actually only going to help rodeo because it's like rodeo and you don't need big muscles. No, you're not lifting nothing up. Yeah, you need agility. So doing all this endurance stuff was like for me right up rodeo's alley. You know, so I was like, well, that's kind of a win-win. You know, I'm working even though I'm working out, I'm trying to get better at rodeo, whatever. And but yeah, it's funny. We like those friends are like, oh, let's sign up for this race. Let's do this. And I was like, I'll come train a little bit, but for the most part, if Sully and I can run up down the road 3 or 4 miles a day, that's plenty good for us.
Yeah. You have a great driveway here to just kind of run up and back with the dog and just kind of, you know, not have to travel too far to go get on the racetrack or all the things, right? I mean, it's it has piqued my interest. I haven't done any I've done the Mid-South run, and so I've ran 50K a few times. Haven't swam since I was like I don't know, maybe 8 years old. And then we've done lengths and then a bike. I mean, I have a bike, but it's like, you know, I would probably do 20, 25 miles at a time. So I do have the itch to be like, do you think I think I can do that? Right. And so I said on a previous podcast with a friend of mine, I said, I'm 35. I've committed to do one before I turn 40. Yeah. So I got 5 years to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, that might give me enough time to refine it.
And
we could train together.
We could train and figure that out.
Yeah.
But no, dude, it's been awesome. It's been great getting to know you and your wife and coming out and seeing your space out here. It's really cool. For people listening, what is the socials? What's the website they can go to and purchase some beef from me?
Yeah. So our social media is at Swisher Beef Co. Facebook, Instagram. That's usually the best place to shoot us a message on there and we can get you set up and send you all the information. We're an open book, you know, we have nothing to hide. And even if you're a beginning rancher, beginning beef person and you want to get started, we love to help out as much as we can. You know, always tell people Swisher Beef can't feed Kingfisher alone. So there's 4,500 people in Kingfisher, you know, so we can't produce enough beef to just feed Kingfisher. Yeah. And obviously that's not just our goal, but our goal is to feed as many people as possible, you know. So the more beef, like local beef companies, the better, I think. And it's the same thing whenever the Harp started. He didn't want to step on our toes or whatever. And I was like, hey, the more the merrier, you know. If it doesn't work out for me, I can shoot him your way or you can shoot him mine, vice versa, whatever, and we'll make it happen. But just follow us at Swisher Beef Co.
Okay. People listening, I'll put the link down below in the description. And we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. If you're looking for a way to make a real difference, check out Bethany Children's Health Center. They're helping children reach their full potential as a leader in pediatric rehabilitation. They're also building a new outpatient center of excellence, and it's going to be a landmark right on Route 66. Want to learn more or even schedule a tour? Just head to bethanychildrens.org and click on the Ways to Give tab. That's bethanychildrens.org.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.